Hi! This is the first episode of my new Basics series. A lot of my hairstyles require a lot of basic knowledge of some of the elements. Once you can do these elements, they're really easy. But I have realised that people who are just growing their hair out, people who just haven't had anybody to teach them how to do these things, may not realise how you do some of the plaits that I use just all the time. And you might think that they're actually quite difficult. They're not. So this first episode is going to focus on how I take care of my hair. Okay, so to start, this is what my hair looks like when I remove it from my plait in the morning. I plait it every night, and then in the morning sometimes I don't even bother to brush it. I can just chuck it up. This weave texture is from the plait. I do have hair that takes a curl very easily, but isn't actually curly itself. It's not quite straight, it's not quite curly. So in the morning, if I'm doing something to my hair, the first thing I'll do is brush it with my tangle teaser. This is not a full size one, this is a slightly smaller one. I've only got wee little hands, so I like the smaller one because it fits so nicely like this. I pull all of my hair around to one side and brush from the bottom. Just go slow and gentle. Your hair, when you brush it, does cause damage. There's no way to avoid some damage from hair brushing. Some of the hairs, if they're very, very knotted, will break. So you don't really want to leave your hair to get really, really knotted before you brush it, which is what often happens with small children. So working my way up, I'm working my way up this side of the hair, and then I'm going to switch it over to the other side. Sometimes switching it over shoulders re-knots some bits. That's okay. That's why we start from the bottom again. And you can see that I'm getting the ones on this side of the head. Okay, so I've actually got what looks like a lot of hair in my brush. The longer your hair is, the more hair it will look like you lose, because each hair is so much longer, so it takes up more space. So don't worry too much. Also, the less you brush your hair, the more hair you will lose each time you brush it, because you've waited longer and there are more loose hairs. So, missed the bin. Another quick run through. Okay, and that's it for the tangle teaser for now. And now I have my everything's falling over. Have my boar bristle brush. This is a brush that's got boar bristles in it. This is really good for making your hair shiny and making it so that the oil from your scalp travels the length of your hair, because I don't wash my hair every day. It's not healthy for your hair. Washing your hair causes damage. Your hair is also very, very fragile when it's wet. So I also don't like to have hair that looks wet for 2 hours every day. That would be really inconvenient. My hair does take about 2 hours to dry, and I do not use a hairdryer because it is heat, and heat causes a lot of unnecessary damage in my opinion. But that means I don't actually own a hairdryer. So I probably should. There are a few instances it would be useful. But I wash my hair less often, and I use the boar bristle brush. Again, start from the bottom. Don't try to boar bristle brush the knots out of your hair, generally. It doesn't work very well. This is more of a shine enhancer. And it can also help to reduce the shine and grease at the roots of your hair. I tend to take it out like this. So I brush it against my scalp and then take it out. to try and get some of the oils from my scalp to the base of my hair. And again, the same on the back. Brushing along the scalp. I tend to end up in a ponytail. I don't know why. I just do. And then you keep going until you're satisfied. Now, after that, you will find sometimes that it's enough and the ends of your hair are oiled by your scalp hair. The longer your hair is, the less likely this is to actually happen. The less likely it is that it will reach the end. If you do this to your hair every single day, or every morning and every evening, it will be better. You'll get a better distribution. But if, like me, you're a little bit lazy and don't do it very often, then you'll hit some problems and you'll find your ends become quite dry after a day or so following washing, where you condition them. I use coconut oil. This one is from a supermarket that might be Tesco's. I don't remember. It's a very large thing of coconut oil. You can buy them in the food section of most supermarkets. I know that most long hair people advise you to buy food grade and not hair grade because it's just purer. It's also a lot cheaper. If you buy coconut oil meant for your hair, you might get a little tub for £5. If you buy coconut oil meant for cooking, you can get a tub this size for maybe £3 or £4, maybe £5, depends where you go. And if you look on Amazon, you can find things as well. It's usually in the world food section in UK supermarkets. If you're in other parts of the world, obviously it wouldn't be. If you're in parts of the world that routinely use coconut oil for cooking, it will be in the oil section. And you can actually buy huge tubs. I've been to India. You can buy incredibly huge tubs in India. I don't know what other countries are like particularly. You can use whatever oil you like. I like coconut oil. I have also used argan oil in the past, but because this is not a cooking type oil, it's sold in sort of health food shops and it's mainly for your skin and your hair. It's actually really expensive and I don't think it's any better. If you have super fine hair and very little of it, maybe you might find it more useful. But I have very fine hair. It may not look like it. I have a lot of hair, but each individual strand is incredibly fine and I'm blonde, so grease shows up horrendously on my hair. And I find the coconut oil is a good balance between getting enough conditioning and moisture into my hair without making it look heavy and sort of wet. If you want a deeper condition, you can actually get some heavier oils. So again, raiding the kitchen is a good bet. Vegetable oils, olive oils, any of these things. I would stop short of using sort of goose fat, but whatever you want to experiment with is up to you. The heavier oils tend to be either for, if you have very thick, very dark hair, you might find that a heavier oil works better for you. Or if you want a deep conditioning, so sometimes I will plait my hair halfway down because I don't want to oil this bit, and below that I will put loads of oil in my hair, and then I will plait the rest of the way down to hold the oil in my hair, and then I will sleep with it like that, and it's usually partially soaked in by the morning, but I then would wash my hair, so this would be before washing, and that would just be a really deep conditioning treatment to wash that oil out, because otherwise your hair looks soaking wet. Okay, so I'll show you how I use this. I tend to split my hair in half, just because if I have it on each side it means I get a more even distribution and I can't quite reach behind me. So, in the UK in general, coconut oil is a solid at room temperature. If you live in a hotter climate, it is not. I find I just put my finger in. When it's cold, sometimes you might need something else to help you get it out. This time of year, or in a house like mine that's properly heated, and not like my student house last year. The joys of student life, glad to be over, where the house was freezing cold. So I've just got this much on at the moment, and the heat of your body will melt the oil. You can barely see it there. And then I don't know if you can see, put it through. Always start with a small amount and build. This is where it's very difficult to get my face and the ends of my hair in. But I don't want to just point the camera at my boobs, because that is not the audience I'm going for. I don't know why, but I like to twist the hair when I'm doing this. You can see it's probably not quite oiled enough, but I take my ball bristle brush. You can use a tangle teaser for this as well, and I brush it through, because what I want to do is distribute the oils a little bit better. And I'm not brushing all the way to the scalp this time, because I don't want to add oil to the scalp. Just a little bit to make sure everything's evenly coated. You might also find that if you put slightly too much on, you can brush a lot of it, sort of not necessarily out, but to smooth along the rest of your hair. Needs a bit more. Again, same amount. You can rub it all the way. It does get in between your fingers. Make sure that you've not got any lumps on your hands before you put it through your hair, because they sort of stick to your hair and it's really annoying. So if you start at the very ends with your first lot of oil, and then move a little bit further up with each subsequent application, you'll find that you'll get sort of 2 or 3 layers of oil on the bottom ends, and then 2 layers and then 1 layer, depending on how much you need. So the parts of your hair that are the driest, which is usually the ends, will be oiled the most. And the parts of your hair that are just maybe a little bit frizzy, sometimes when I put the oil all the way through, I just run my fingers a little bit across the top of my scalp, just to get rid of some of the frizz. And again, what you will notice is that my hair looks a little bit darker now because of the oil, and it could actually do with a tiny bit more on the ends. I find that if I make my hair to the very limit, it looks a tiny bit wet. In half an hour or so, it will be about perfect. So I just need a little bit more on the very ends. You can rub it to liquid in one hand, it's just more difficult. And then just and again to get these ends. So this is going to be a long video. Didn't realise that. You get me talking and I don't shut up. Okay, so I've got those ends nice and oiled. You can see they look a little bit, tiny little bit over oiled. That is what I like with my hair. I like the ends to be a tiny little bit over oiled to start with, and then the oil soaks in over time. Can you see that? Especially if I'm putting my hair up, I will put a little bit more oil in. If I'm 5 minutes from going out the door, I might put a little bit less in if I'm leaving my hair down. But this is my preference. And it is completely up to you. You'll find that if you put less oil in, you may need to reapply it. But just experiment a little bit when you're not going out to see how much oil gets soaked into your hair. Mine is very dry, so it needs a okay. And one of the other products that I would ever use in my hair, I have 2 here. I vary quite a lot in what I will put and won't put in my hair. For a while I was fully no silicones, no anything, but I found that sometimes it can be useful. I have this, which is an Aussie Take the Heat. I use it rarely. Sometimes I use it as a bit of a leave-in if my hair is particularly scraggly, although it does make my hair look quite wet, so I prefer the oil. It's usually only if I've misplaced it somewhere. I do very, very occasionally curl my hair with hot curlers. Hot curlers, a hair curler barrel thing. And I would always use this. It's a heat protection spray if I was going to do that. It's personal preference, whichever one you like. This is one of those things that I buy whichever one is on offer. I don't notice a particular difference between them. You can buy super fancy ones. I am fond of the Aussie brand generally. If I'm not going for silicone-free things, silicone and sulfate-free things, I frequently choose this one. It's a little bit more expensive than some, but if you can get it on offer, it's very affordable. This is another brand that I have come across recently, and you can see I bought this one on clearance. I would never pay that much for a hair product, and I don't think this one's worth it, but at £4 it probably is. It's really good for creating a little bit of volume where you would have backcombed, except I don't backcomb my hair because I find that it's really difficult to unbackcomb. As I say, my hair is very fine. And it also works really well if you're 5 minutes from walking out the door and you realise your hair looks really greasy and you know that the brushing it through with the ball bristle brush isn't going to do anything, so you can chuck this in the roots. So you just pull it up. I don't really want to put it in now, but pull it up, spray, and then rub it in, and then brush it out. This one is a white one. You can't see it in my hair. And I am blonde, but I am not that blonde. I think I look more blonde in real life than I do on these videos, by the way. I have eyebrows that disappear in the summer. I've had to fill them in so I don't look like an alien. So, just a little note. They do come in other colours. But yeah, I really like their silicone and sulfate free shampoo. I had some good experience with that. If you have the money to spend, it's a really good one, but I just can't justify it. So if I find it on offer, I'll buy it, but if not, I'll stick to other brands. I am struggling a little bit with particularly shampoos at the moment because I used to use the Tresemme Naturals Botanics, but they've changed that to the Botanics one, and the new shampoo has sulfates in it. The old one did not. The conditioner is still silicone and sulfate free, so it's fine, and I still love it. But now I've been struggling to find an affordable shampoo that I like. So anyone who's found a good one that's available in the UK, a lot of these things are are very easily available in America, and not so much here. Okay, so that is my basic hair care. I rarely have my hair down. I do sometimes. You can see even after a couple of minutes this is starting to soak in. I very rarely have my hair down, partly because it gets in the way. I have shut my hair in car doors and started driving before I've realised it's stuck. But it's another story. I will usually put my hair up in a bun, especially for work, because I cannot have hair that comes down or gets in the way at all if I'm bending over or doing things at work. So I tend to have it in a bun so it stays out the way, which also offers the fantastic experience of taking your bun out to rub your head when it's sore and people going, "Oh my god, I didn't realise you had so much hair," along with, "Your hair is pink," because I have dyed the ends of my hair pink, and it is fading incredibly fast. But that is another story again. So I hope that my rambling has been useful. I will put quite a few videos in this series, I hope, eventually. If there is anything that you would particularly like to see, if there's a technique that I've used or you have seen someone else use that you didn't quite get, or you just want a little bit more in-depth tips and tricks about, give me a shout and I will do my best to do a video. So, happy styling!